You ever just kind of scroll through someone's Instagram page down into the depths? I'm talking like all the way down to their origins for fun, just to cringe a little bit, just to scratch that itch after a really long day. Specifically on my own Instagram, I do that a lot. Jesus. Well, if you do, and let's be honest, you do, John Anderson is someone you want to be putting on your death scroll list, especially with TikTok going out the window. Because in my opinion, he's definitely someone that proves the dead internet theory completely wrong.
Eating on the run has never been so easy. Look, give it a squeeze, out it comes.
Not that he's done anything insurmountable or so accomplished that an AI couldn't replicate it, but because of the way he is, just by nature, just his dynamic as a human being, the ambiguity of John. Welcome to the K-hole, John. So today I start my death scroll by going through Noel Diesel's Instagram, and after wiping my face with tears after watching his all too relatable and self-exposing content.
Do you see anything wrong with this picture? Yes, someone's missing, and that person is my father. But I learned, just because someone is not in your life doesn't mean that your life is screwed. If anything, their absence can teach you some of the most important lessons. My dad wasn't there to teach me how to be a man, but you know what? I figured it out. You may have to work a little harder, but trust me. It also means you'll come out stronger. And if I can do it, so can you.
I found this video.
Eating on the run has never been so easy. Look, give it a squeeze, out it comes.
Brother.
And I thought, that's a really odd behavior to be posting publicly about, and as well to be suggesting that other people do in a format that's suggesting it's beneficial or helpful or good in terms of habit creation. And then I had a brief thought about microplastics, but it went straight to my scrotum before I could let it out. But so a brilliant idea struck me. Let me spend my time figuring out who John is at like 1 a.m. in the morning because my sleeping disorders are killing me, and see what I can learn from the individual.
With a whopping learning disability. Like I had a really hard time reading, had a hard time learning, couldn't keep up with the other kids. And because of that, I was basically put into a room where the kids that couldn't keep up were. And in that room, there were literally kids that were not going to have normal lives. It was called the resource room, known to the rest of the student body as the retard room. So as you can imagine, I got picked on in a major way. And because of the fact that I was slow and I got picked on so much, I ran to food for comfort. Because I ran to food for comfort multiple times per day, I developed a massive eating disorder, which was basically a sugar addiction. I didn't quite understand that at the time. And because of this, it was like this spiral. You know, the more I got picked on, the more I ran to sugar foods, the more I ran to sugar foods, the worse my sugar addiction got, and it just kept looping around. Now, because I was unable to keep up with the pack, I was really forced to figure out how to.
Okay, before I get started here, I think it's such a great story that's clearly going to resonate with a lot of people. Mad respect to you, John. I was a short bus racer too, man. It was, shit sucked, bro. Somehow I maxed out my ASVAB and got an amazing score on the ACT, but never really do well in class. No explanation as to why, I just couldn't do it. I think I just hated people. I really just hated people. I don't like people most of the time, if it's not obvious by my videos. But I love you guys. Subscribe. I can't honestly remember things that I don't care about, but if I do care about something, I will remember virtually everything and then pursue more information on that thing. It's kind of what I think most people do. In my mind, the term good shit sticks is kind of how you learn. Anyways, John was likely the same. However, if we're talking about eating disorders and the development of those things, what does eating ground up beef out of the corner of a bag have to do in a normal person's life? I'm just picturing a dude sitting in front of his family having a nice dinner, and then he's like, time to fucking grind, no time to eat, baby, and then abruptly leaves the house. Meanwhile, his family is looking completely concerned. Screw it, I'm actually gonna plug this into an AI rendition and see how it looks. But I also noticed another interesting thing about John's page. He posts a lot of really interesting, motivational, and positive stuff.
The man who believes he can and the man who believes he cannot are are both correct. So the question is, what do you believe?
Compared to all of the other losers we've talked about on this channel, which basically berate you with, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're broke, you're not worth anything. Be better. This is more of a refreshing version of that. A dude with no ego-driven lifestyle, no flashy cars, chains, and watches trying to tell you how sick he is. He's just a guy with a pretty interesting hat, some ridiculous vascularity, and I kind of dig it. A bit of a weirdo, but what's wrong with that? Then he goes from motivation to talking about nutrition, and these things seem to be very interchangeable for him.
Butter spray. I used to use a ton of this stuff before I understood what was in it. Primarily seed oil, which is not good for your health. So when it comes to the butter spray, put these on the shelf, find a better way. Go with an organic grass-fed butter and you'll be good to go.
He does claim to be a nutritionist. However, I don't think he's ever actually substantiated that anywhere, at least not from the places I've looked. And saying that seed oils are unhealthy whilst injecting yourself full of them, as you might know, anabolic steroids of any kind are containing seed oils. For instance, this prescribed TRT here is in grapeseed oil. So there's that, you know, most of the stuff comes in vegetable oils, and no doubt he's injecting a lot of them.
2 universal truths that will help you crush your goals, more importantly, your future. If you don't let the past die, it won't let you live. You learn more from losing than you do from winning. If you embrace them, they will embrace you.
What is that beeping sound? What does that sound? At first I was like, damn, my phone's getting a notification or something. Never heard of that before. Then I realized it's just a sneaky insert to boost his algorithm. Or a just poor attempt at him to create an engaging video with his big thumbs. One of the two.
Beef tenderloin. So what you do is you buy this and you give it cuts right here. Cut it like this. Ultimately, you're getting nice little steaks. What are you doing? You're creating beef tenderloin steaks. Check it out and give it a try.
Okay, so now we're learning. This is, no joke, pretty useful. I've never actually even thought of doing this. I've probably been wildly overpaying for steaks my entire life just because they're cut in a certain way, when I could have been getting the entire cut of meat itself and then just dicing it up, which is also a nice way to create the ability to portion control. Thanks, John.
It makes me feel good to apologize when I up.
Sometimes it's hard to say I'm sorry.
I'm sorry doesn't always taste good coming out of your mouth.
A simple apology can create room for compassion and understanding.
Oh, now I'm really confused here. This feels like it's supposed to be one of those masculine posts with like the music and the cuts and the zooms in and the transitions. It feels like it's supposed to be a little bit epic, you know, like just a pitch to masculinity. And then what we get is a legit video about saying sorry to your significant other. Interesting. I mean, no one else would do that I've ever reviewed on this channel. So again, kudos to John, but a very interesting way to display that kind of content. And as I scroll through these videos, one of the things I'm commonly seeing is the amount of wild hate that John gets for using Synthol, which is an injectable oil that you put in muscle. It makes it look bigger and round. Most bodybuilders do this. Once you get to a certain level, it's kind of a prerequisite. And also steroid usage, which again, can't deny that. It's pretty obvious, but he does not deny it. He just works around it in his comment section. It's a really interesting thing to witness. But it's almost like he's kind of trying to say good things, and then everyone's sort of just ignoring him. They're bypassing everything he has to say, even if it has no relevancy to fitness, all for the sake of calling out the steroids and Synthol. Which, look, if you're signing up to follow a bodybuilder, natural or not, I'm sorry. There's a chance that 45% of their life consists of drugs and oil, truly. And it's kind of your fault if you're mad about that, if you've actually selectively decided to follow this person and go so far as to comment on their page. And I get roasting people, dude. There's a lot of throat goats out there who need it, but I don't think John's the one trying to pitch to you a certain kind of lifestyle to lead, or that you're not a man, or insulting you on camera. It's just like, hey, here's how I cook beef. Here's how I cook chicken. And that's literally it. That's all the content is. You may look a little funny while doing it, but beyond that, I mean, I don't really care. He's not impacting anyone negatively, so fuck it.
Most people will wait until the discomfort of reality becomes greater than the discomfort of change to finally pull the trigger to better themselves. Why wait for reality to get so bad that you're finally ready to make that change? Is it gonna take a death in the family or a car accident to finally get you to do what you need to do? Take the bull by the horns before the bull finally comes to get you.
You're one decision away.
What is he holding? He's been holding that in a few videos now. I feel like I'm listening to a really jacked Doctor Strange, just kind of like throwing around these magical marbles. Like he's from an alternate universe where people just squeeze bags of meat into their mouth for substance, and also steroids are wildly acceptable and promoted within society. But all this has got me thinking, what is John outside of just an internet personality? What is he outside of Instagram? Does he eat other things than just bags of meat? So I decided to look up his name, and not too long after that I found his full name, in which I used to find more information about him, and it turns out he's a pretty decorated wrestler. He's also played major roles within 2 movies. The movies, however, were highly bad. They were not great with the critical ratings, but he's doing much better than me. I haven't placed at any movies, so that's pretty neat. But I quickly got bored of that because there wasn't much out there on him outside of his own Wikipedia page, which more than likely he wrote himself, and then obviously his IMDb and all the movies he starred in. But it doesn't discredit the fact that he was a pretty substantial wrestler, not like a MMA kind of guy, right? Like a WWE kind of guy. He actually competed in Japan, in Mexico for a very long period of time, and went back and forth, which is really cool. He was an international wrestler. I think that's a dream a lot of people would pretty much kill for. John, however, is a really busy person. He posts on average about 4 to 5 times a day, and that's insane. Unlike many creators who basically create long form content and then batch it down into short form content, so you can make a 20-minute video and then have that be 20 reels on Instagram, essentially, making it a relatively easy task, John clearly makes the majority of his content video by video. So I had a lot of scrolling to do, until I unfortunately found out that what he does is often just repost a lot of his material. After a while of scrolling, you get to see that most of these videos are just reposts of each other. Some of them are years old that he's continuing to post now, and it sort of is this like chain of effect. He just posts old ones, new ones, old ones, new ones. So he might post like 3 or 4 new ones within a whole week, and then the rest are just sort of the accumulation of stuff he's done in the past and then is re-uploading. Pretty interesting tactic.
We are all gonna die. That being said, live to the fullest. Live hard, live fast, and go get what the you want.
Oh man. Oh, son of a bitch. We were almost about to escape the sports cars and talking in front of your fucking car video. We were so close, guys. I just don't know if we're going to ever make it away from this grift on social media. I don't think we will. I should really start thinking about walking outside and taking videos in front of my Bugatti. Maybe what I should do is just blast this wall out and put a Bugatti behind me, and then I'll get famous on YouTube. Do you think it'll work?
Let me demonstrate how I've led thousands of out-of-shape businessmen to be laser-focused killers by slashing 10, 20, 30, 40, and even 50 pounds of body fats, all while simultaneously stacking their bodies with dense muscle. So if you're not a corporate raider, a business owner, or an executive in the trenches, this shit is not for you. You can click off this page right now. But first, I need to make sure I'm talking to the right man. I am going to disqualify 80% of you right now. Once again, this is just for a select few men. Our clients are masters of business, but walk around with a $2 body. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately, this solution is not for you. It's just not. This is also not for you if you've somehow bought into society's hatred for strong, powerful men.
Do I have to even say this right now? He said, let me demonstrate, and then said nothing all about the demonstration he was talking about giving us. Furthermore, this is such a burnt out tactic in marketing that you see it so many times, time and time again with coaches and other people selling courses. I'm looking for XYZ men. I only want the best of the best because this program isn't for the weak. We have only room for X type of person. It's cringe, outdated, and I think most people, almost everybody, can probably see clearly through it. And you'll notice one thing about this tactic when people try to call it out is that it basically is calling out the perfect person to get to pay you, usually a high income individual. They're trying to call out people who can easily pay for their program instead of have to work with people who simply can't, which understandable from a business perspective, but I think your marketing could be approached in a different capacity in the sense that you don't have to tell people, I'm looking for this type of person, rather just create content for that type of person. They'll always say something about looking for X real estate agents or looking for business owners who make X, Y, and Z a year, or looking for people who are struggling to meet their schedule with a 6-figure salary or some stupid shit like this. In my mind, again, the way I would market myself is best by showing my body of work, i.e. client transformations, testimonials, so on, and then making content that's going to aid the people that I'm trying to get to work with, the people that would use my content generally. Honestly, I don't even know who my fucking audience is at this point. People just hire me if they want to get jacked. So that's where we're at.
One of the things that's helped me a ton reaching goals and get where I want to go is habitual construction. Meaning, have I constructed the habits I need to get where I want to go? How do I have the habits I need on a daily basis to get to the results I need to reach that goal? Habitual construction is everything.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, man. The goddamn burpees. What is going? Why do burpees seem to just make the Instagram algorithm go wild? Whenever Instagram sees someone with tattoos, jacked, and high blood pressure doing a burpee, they're like, dude, that's the guy. I'll boost him. Like, boost him right now. YouTube videos that I've done have taught me one thing, and that is for sure that you can at least catch one business video of a guy doing burpees. You could coach for basically anything, fitness coaching, business coaching, but he's gonna have at least one video of him doing burpees, clearly.
I keep my standards high. I choose to keep working hard. I choose to keep eating right. I choose to do the things that are gonna keep me moving forward, no matter what my age is or is not.
Oh, I mean, my Christ, brother, what? When you see a man with this much oil in his body, you know that he's clearly struggling. Not just in terms of a strong sense of insecurity, but seriously in terms of his health directly. When you start injecting lipids into your body intramuscularly, it's never good. They have to go somewhere. These lipids don't just fall out of your body. They go back and basically absorb into your bloodstream. Then you have excess, hypertriglyceridemia and cholesterolemia, and you run into massive issues with cardiac function and, most importantly, circulatory function, because you're collapsing capillaries, you're damaging blood vessels, and sometimes even worse, arteries in the process. And I mean, it's just a terrible mistake to do. If you want to get bigger muscles, work out, and if you can't get bigger muscles by doing that and taking steroids, then just be happy with yourself, because that's the maxed out physique that you got as a 1 in 100 choice, I guess. You can see clearly that his traps and his shoulders are infested with oil. And again, you can see that bodybuilders usually pump themselves full of hyaluronic acid and oils to create a fuller, rounder look. And this is, again, something that is done at almost every bodybuilder in a certain level, right? Like, this is something that's almost necessary. It might not be as systemic as we're seeing in John, but maybe a little bit in the triceps, a little bit in the rear delts, and it kind of adds up over time. The downside is that the facade of it falls away really quickly. I mean, these injections are really necessary to do frequently. And I'm talking like 3 or more times per week. And these aren't small injections either. They're highly invasive, using a large needle and a very large syringe, sometimes injecting 5 cc's per injection site. And there was multiple injection sites in a single muscle. For instance, in the tricep, historically bodybuilders will use 3 sites: the small head, the large head, and the upper head of the tricep, injecting all of those with 3 to 5 cc's of oil. It's fucking nuts. But to each their own, man. If that's what he wants to do and it makes him happy, I'm not discrediting him. I even say most of the time, living life is defined by enjoying the passage of time as much as possible. And I think if you're doing that, even if it's considerably harmful to you, who are we to judge you? Because in a certain fact, we're definitely not living our lives. Maybe you are, and he's living his. So if it does truly make him happy, then again, to each his own. At least in his competition, he got leaner than Mike Isertel. He does look like a cartoon character, though. He does look like a cartoon character. The amount of synthol in his legs, let alone his traps, shoulders, and triceps, is absolutely ridiculous here. There's so much oil that it literally fills up his skin and makes it so that there's no striations within his muscles, tissue, anywhere. It's just a fat glob of oil. I'm actually crying in hypertension right now. It's odd to me that people find this fascinatingly aesthetic. Like, I don't want veins popping all over my body all the time. I'm more of a guy who enjoys a full head of hair, a normal tint of skin, usually a whitish hue, but not a race thing, right? Just because I'm white, like, I want my skin to be white. I don't want it to be red, you know what I'm saying? But to be fair, I actually haven't seen a black bodybuilder with this kind of problem, with like that reddish purple skin. So maybe they're just immune to it. all they have to deal with is small calves or something like that. There's also some other interesting things that I'd actually like to present you. John claims to, on his Wikipedia page, have a 34-inch jump, would put him beyond most volleyball professional athletes. Very curious. I've never actually seen a jacked dude jump that high. They're out there. We actually just covered Brad Castleberry, and he has a pretty high vertical, but there's not many guys at 300 pounds, which is also what his Wikipedia says he's currently at, who can jump 34 inches. So take that as you will.
Block just like this. Then when you're on the run, all you've got to do is literally, again, bite the corner off the bag and squeeze that bad boy in your mouth.
Well, Scooter Productions has a good point here. Anyways, that's John. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you later.